to you all. I want to say peace and blessings to you all. Sitting out here in the car, getting ready to go inside. Just came from the store, and I was just thinking about a couple of things. I was thinking about what's going on, of course, with this government. The commander in chief, the things that he's doing, and the things that this government is putting in place that immediately impacts our community. And, I was thinking about Candace Owens, right? And you guys already know my stance with Candace Owens. I don't support the things that she said in the past about our community. I don't support the things she said about George Floyd, as well as the, what's her name, Sonia Massey, because if you study and research and if you've been following her, she actually took the side of the police officer who murdered her, over a pot, right? So I don't rock with any of those things. The one thing that I have given her credit for, that I've been basically monitoring and commenting on and doing videos on, is the whole situation with her and the 1948ers. Because you guys already know that we've been making it clear about our identity and about the 1948ers, right? So we've been dealing with the 1948ers for quite some time. And so with the situation, I would say it started with Whoopi Goldberg about 3 years ago, with Whoopi Goldberg and her situation, what she stated about the 1948ers. Then shortly after, you had the situation with Kyrie Irving, with the whole, it started with the vaccine, and then it transitioned over to sharing the Hebrews to Negroes movie, and then at that same time, you had Kanye West make a post, a tweet, in regarding the 1948ers. And that kind of really, it was like the perfect storm, so to speak. And it really, stirred up this whole discussion about who's who, right? And, then when you add to everything that transpired, with that whole timeline, and you guys have been following it, it's like the conversations went from our level in terms of this awakening level to more so a more worldwide national level in terms of who's who with the narrative of anti-Semitism. You guys remember how, all of a sudden, you start seeing the push for anti-Semitism, as far as, pushing bills and laws through the judicial system and all, through Congress rather. And that, just bring you guys up to speed. And they were able to have basically an open or working law, a working document as the reference to the anti-Semitic law. I remember how Kanye West got ridiculed for stating how the 1948ers control Hollywood, they control the media, and how he realized that he didn't know that saying those things are considered anti-Semitic, right? And so look at where we are now, only to see that the 1948ers, they purchased and, pretty much bought everything. We already knew that they controlled it, but look at what happened. You see the owner of Oracle, I think he's listed as the second or third richest or wealthiest man in the world. He purchased BS. He purchased Twitter, now looking to purchase Paramount. So many different things are happening to purchase CNN. So they control those spaces. The very things that they listed or made into a working document in terms of anti-Semitic, now they are doing it, right? So they have the best of both sides. Get a law created of saying what you can't say, but then they do the very thing that they try to restrict you from saying, right? So, so now you see how things elevated, in that timeline. Candace Owens with her situation with the whole Daily Wire. You guys remember that because of her stance with what transpired with what's going on over in Gaza, October 7th, how she began to see things a lot differently, and how they began to what come at her, right? Remember how the Daily Wire began to ridicule her, and how she began to get ostracized because of her stance against the 1948ers. All right. So what ended up happening just before she got fired by the Daily Wire, she did a live, right, with a rabbi, and she just really embarrassed that rabbi. It wasn't a good interview or debate with that rabbi. She completely obliterated him in that debate. But then she went on, and guess what? They let her go. They fired her. And then they began to do things like wanting to debate her, Ben Shapiro. And what did he do? Daily Wire, they came up with this thing, took her to an arbitrator, and the arbiter basically, you know, silenced her so she couldn't say anything, right? So what happened, right? They began to rail against her, but she couldn't respond, or she lose all the resources, all the monies or whatever they agreed to pay her. So then, you know, in that process, Piers Morgan brought her on a show to debate Rabbi Shmuley, who's been railing against her for years. You guys already know the end results. She embarrassed him. She completely embarrassed him, right? So as you see, it looks like, man, she's always been ahead of the game. She always had the receipts. She always had in spades like that trump card, you know? So fast forward, we already know what happened with Charlie Kirk. Not going to get into the details in that. And so she's been really calling him out, the organization that he founded, right? And everything that they presented, she had the receipts to back it up. And even before that, you know, with the Macrons, one of the things that you don't hear talk about, that she even made a bet with Piers Morgan that if she win her case, right, you know, or if you know, whatever the case may be, if it's proven that she's a man and all that, that he'll pay her. It's like $100,000. Well, one thing you don't hear about, the people that actually push that narrative, that put all the information out, that Candace Owens got the information from, they won their case. It got overturned, right? So you don't hear anything about that. So she seemed like she's always ahead of the game, right? Always, you know, got that card. You know, have you guys played spades before? And it seemed like, man, you know, that person that's coming after you, you know, you look at your hand and you like, man, back. Right. So, you know what? I know I could get at least 2 or 3 books off of this. Then you got the hearts, the ace of diamonds. I mean, the ace of hearts, and the king of hearts, the queen of hearts. So you look like you just have the you know, that hand that's going, you know, have you just run a Boston. Right. So then you start off like, oh, I got this. And what happened? You want to test the waters to see if your partner, you know, kind of test the water to see what your partner has. So instead of throwing out that ace of diamonds, you may throw out the queen, because you know you have the king and you have the ace. So you throw the queen out. And then the person that's coming after you immediately throw a 3 of spades out. So completely threw you off. You thought you had the trump card, but that person that's coming after you, cut you. You didn't anticipate you would be cut that early. So now you like, man, you know what I mean? Okay, what's going to happen now? How is this going to play out? You know, did I overbid? That's what you see happening right now. So it seems like she's, you know, right off the bat, she's been cutting, being a step ahead. And what happened? What just happened? She's been exposing them, you know, the organization and all the things that's been going on. She's been pretty accurate. Well, she decided today to meet with them in secrecy, his wife in secrecy. The same wife that's been pretty much thrown up under the bus, doing all kinds of interviews and, you know, just basically calling her out, you know, basically insinuating that she's lying, insinuating that she's making all this money off of it. So it seemed like she's always been ahead. Y'all know what I'm talking about? You know, always been ahead, being ahead. But she decided to meet with Charlie Kirk's wife, right? Because they was going to do a live on today and pretty much go through everything that she's been talking about, debunking it. And she, because she, said it was so short notice and she didn't want to fly out that they should be able to do it live. So she was going to do it live in conjunction to them. So suddenly she decided at the last minute to fly out and meet with his wife in privacy. Because of how far they may have made it, because of been accepted in certain spaces, they forget who they are. They forget the hatred, the racism. They forget all those things that's against us. And I think she, like many of our brothers and sisters, all right, you can see I saw an interruption in this signal. My apologies, family. But you can see that Erica Kirk is not good with debates, live discussions. You can see that she's not good with that. Are we good, family? Are you good? Are we good? Did it come back up? If not, I may have to just do this live stream another time. Are we good? If we're good now, just type 1. Are we good? All right. All right. So I think what happened, my Wi-Fi at my house tried to kick in. So we're good now? All right. So everything that you see with Charlie Kirk's wife, Turning Point, you can see everything is scripted. If we use the hip hop kind of analogy, is that Candace is good with going off the script. She's good with freestyling. But you got some people that is good with just writing their stuff down line by line. And if they have to go outside of that, it's not going to be good. So she's good with going off the cuff. She don't need to have questions, like pre-thought out questions. So that way she can prepare for it and rehearse. Right. So with that being said, I think that's where she overplayed her hand. I think that she should have held her ground and not have a private discussion. Why? Number one, she already know what happened to Charlie Kirk, right? But then you're going to agree to fly out and meet, especially with all the things that you've been saying about it. You said that you had death threats and all of these things. And then you're going to fly out. You see what I'm going at with that, family? I think that, kind of like that person, right? That going back to the spade analogy, right? That person cutting you, right? And that person, just cutting everything. The one thing that you have in your hand is the little joker. She has the big joker, right? They bid a Boston based upon what she had. But you thought you had, you're struggling like, man, am I going to make board? But she's cutting everything. So now you get to that last hand, right? She throws the big joker out before the last hand. Right? Just ran all her cards just a little bit too early because there's still one more round. But she thinking that she have enough to win. But you held out on that queen of hearts, so to speak. She threw her big joker down too early. And what happened? Comes all the way around back to you, right? And all the face cards are gone. Hearts is on the table. You throw out your queen of hearts, or it could even be a 10 of hearts, rather. You throw out your 10 of hearts. And that's the card that ends up winning. That's how I feel like she's kind of playing her hand. That she had enough to run a Boston, but she went too far with it. I mean, she how can I put it? Not to go went too far with it. She uh, went too early. She threw her cards down too early. And I think that's the same thing. I think that's the same thing. That's the best scenario I can give. That she threw her face cards. That she threw her cards out too early. So now you're gonna go meet. So now guess what? Now you gave up the high ground. You gave up your advantage because the live, that would have been a better way to go about it live, since she was going around calling you out live, since she was going around doing these interviews. Then you do it live. Since they called you out live, why you need to have a private discussion? That's because that allows Candace Owens not to have the advantage because of Erica Kurt not being good with being, a debater, so to speak. So that's what I believe that is happening right now. That's right. I think that now Candace Owens, because she overplayed it, I think she's going to become the actual Joker, like someone posted here. So I've been following it, not because I agree with all the other stuff. I agree with the plight against the 1948ers, because you guys know who we are. You know what happened to our community. We know what the 1948ers have done over and over and over again. But I think she overplayed her hand. She's been trumping everything. She's been cutting everything. But she tried to run the Boston. She didn't run her Boston right. She didn't run it good. And they reneged. Not reneged, but actually they didn't make it. They didn't make their books. And I think that's what's happening with her. I think that's what's going to happen with her. I'm sorry, family. You know how we come up, right? And I think that because, because where she is, she's forgetting, you know what I mean, about exactly what's going on. I think she's out of touch in terms of like, hey, she getting all these different channels, these platforms, running her stuff. I mean, she's like the hottest thing pretty much in these spaces. She's getting almost 200,000 lives per video now. She's getting 1 to 2 million views per video. That's like every video is viral. Shannon Sharp, off the Cat Williams interview, he said he made more off that Cat Williams video, that interview, that he's made in his entire NFL career. And I believe that set a record for that genre of doing an interview. And I think he got over 60 million views off of that. He actually broke Joe Rogan's record. So since this whole, I would say since the Macrons, but really the Charlie Kirk, she's been averaging 1 to 2 million per video. So she's been doing very well with that. Of course, we already know who she married to, and we know that she's married into money as well. But I think she's I think she's overplaying her hand. What do you guys think? You think she's overplaying her hand? I think she's overplayed her hand. I think she ran her cards too early. I think she was cutting. She was trying to get that Boston, and she did it too early. What do you guys think? What do you guys think, family? I think she overplayed it. And we see that happening with a lot of our brothers and sisters. And I'm going to say this, family, don't post any kind of comments. Moderators, if you see people posting insults and all that, like the witch thing and all that, block them, because we don't do that over here. You're entitled to your opinion, but we don't do name calling and all that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that here. But again, family, I believe she overplayed herself. I think she overplayed herself. I think she overplayed her hand. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but share your thoughts. Post it inside the comment section. Or did she overplay her hand? All right. Let's see what they say here. No, I'm not saying she lied. I want to make it clear. I'm not saying she lying, because I've been following her and I've been fact checking, and she's pretty much almost everything she put out there. She's been telling the truth. She's been telling the truth. Remember they said that when she said that Charlie Kirk flipped on the 1948 is when she called Netanyahu out. They tried to say that she was lying. She showed the text messages, and then what happened? Turning Point shows and proved that she wasn't lying about the text messages. Everything that they tried to say she was lying about, turns out she was telling the truth. She showed the receipts. But I just think that she overplayed this right here. Come on, family. I'm sorry, man. You know what I mean? I'm from where I'm from. Let's just say something happened to one of my boys, and someone that's going against us, someone that has an issue with me, want to have a conversation. I'm going to make sure that it's not going to be done in a way to where I could be taken advantage of. I hope that's a good analogy. Someone offends you, right? Are you going to try to work with them to try to make sure that they're in a good space? I just don't get it. I don't get that logic. So that's my point. When I say she overplayed her hand, right? Again, she has the advantage of what? The momentum. She's been debating them. She's been debunking. But I think how she overplayed her hand is the very thing that's her strength, is being able to debate, being able to bring out those receipts, but being that Erica Kirk is not a debater. So if they were having a live discussion, and you know how some are just naturally quick-witted. That's what she is. She's naturally quick-witted. That's not Erica Kirk. She's not a debater. She has to have everything scripted. And I'm sure you guys been there before. You have certain things scripted, certain things mapped out, whether study and then studying for an exam or whatever. But soon as something go out of that norm, now it throws everything off. And I don't see her that way. So what I mean by how she overplayed her hand is by agreeing to meet with her one-on-one and behind the scene. One-on-one behind the scenes. So if there is some things that she can't respond to, guess what? It's not live. It's not recorded. That's what I mean by that. Who knows? Are they going to have it recorded internally? And will she get a copy of that? What's going to happen with that? All right. Let's see here. I tell you, the troll's out, right? All right. So that's what I mean, family. I just personally believe that she overplayed her hand. And that's why I say she overplayed her hand. I think she should have went the way that she was going to do. While they going live, she's going live as well. Right? And she's debunking everything that they call themselves giving an answer for. Doing it that way, so that way it's live and everyone get to witness that. But by her doing it private, it's almost like she's protecting her. Right? It's almost like she's protecting her. It's almost like going into that, like, you know what I mean? That Stockholm syndrome. You know what I mean? Protect the one that is attacking you. It's like she's going into that mode. Protect the one that's been abusing you. Protecting the perpetrator. The victim protecting the perpetrator. I think she should not meet with them one-on-one. They already proven that they cannot be trusted, because they've been trying to call her. They've been trying to say she's been lying until she showed the receipts. Even up to the latest video, even saying that she's making all this money off of Charlie Kirk's death, when actually Candace Owens proved that it's actually Turning Point that made almost $200 million in this short period of time. You know, that's the thing that I believe that she's overplayed her hand with. All right. But with that being said, family, I thought I'd just do a quick live, get your thoughts on it. Let's be respectful inside the chat, because, YouTube is flagging everything. And I know the trolls out. Come on, trolls. At least be respectful in the comment section. Moderators, if you see people posting names, remove it. We don't do that here. Let's not post anything that can at least take away from having a clean discussion. But post your comments inside the comment section. Do you think that she overplayed herself? Do you think that she overplayed her hand? Do you think that she threw her big joke out too early? Do you think that she should have just stayed the course and, had these discussions live? And again, for me, my interest in this whole thing is the 1948ers, the very ones that's been hijacking, taking identity theft, the whole nine. They're the ones that slap you and then they play the victim. They're the ones that talk about you, then they play the victim when you respond. They're the instigators, but when you try to respond, then they play the victim. They're the ones that played on both sides of our heritage. They played the side of, hey, we empathize with you, but then at the other side of it, the oppressor. They was on both sides of it. They was with the Democrats who was part of the Confederate. It was over 10,000 of them that was rolling with the Confederate, that was in the Confederacy at high places. But then there was at least 7,000 of them that was with the Union. They were playing on both sides of the card. As for our community, they played on the card of saying, hey, they understand our plight, right? They were the ones that established the NAACP. They were the ones that founded that thing, right? And guess what? Even the civil rights laws that were supposed to be to protect us, but guess what? Now their faces on it. They're at the forefront of it. We are an afterthought. So they have been able to, through all of our adversities that we had to face, that we had to deal with, they were able to play both sides of the fence. They were able to do what? When we started looking at slavery, they were able to say, hey, in other words, them, they understand our plight. Hey, they understand our struggle, but then it was on both sides of it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So that's the only thing I was following this for, because of that narrative, because of starting with Kanye West's situation, calling them out, even though they made them look crazy, starting with him. Now, when we look at it now, the very peoples like Tucker Carlson that's on record that was referring to Kanye West as being crazy started protecting him. Like, wait a minute. Oh, he's on to something here. Yeah, his trainer. Why is his trainer giving him drugs? And he showed the receipts of his trainers threatening him to make him go crazy. He's showing the receipts. So Kanye West helped trigger what's going on now, to where now you have the Republican side. Guess what? Many of them don't want to deal with the 1948ers. The Democratic side don't want to deal with the 1948ers. Turning Point, the young people that they've been affecting, been manipulating. Guess what? They don't want to deal with the 1948ers. Now more and more people don't want to deal with the 1948ers. And I want to make this clear. I don't care about the Democrats. I don't care about the Republicans. I don't care about independents. I don't care about none of these politicians, because when it's all said and done, they always screwed our community over. So I want to make sure you guys clear with that. I don't care about none of that. But what I am saying is that the 1948ers, just like Malcolm X called it out, he said they know how to play both sides. On the Democrat side, they play like they rolling with you. They play like they understand you, but have the same agenda as those that are on the Republican side. Come on, family. I want to make sure you guys understand this. That's where I'm with this. I don't care about all the other stuff. I've been following this because of what? The things that have been happening with the 1948ers, because they are rattled. They are rattled. How are they rattled? Because they thought that they were going to be able to go through this whole situation unscathed. It's not looking good. When you have Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens prove that he wasn't rolling with them, that's a major blow. So they had to buy TikTok. They had to buy all these things. And guess what? Still losing the narrative. So that's why I want to make it clear, family. For those that are jumping in late here, no, I'm not rolling with Candace Owens, But I agree with one point that she's been hammering in, and that's dealing with the 1948ers. That's the one thing I've been rolling with. In this awakening, that's what we roll with in terms of the what we've been saying about the 1948ers. Now you're starting to see what many in the church is starting to say the same things. You're starting to hear more and more, even pastors questioning who's who, even though they won't say who's who. Right, they'll default to either saying this the church, or they'll default to saying it's the modern Palestinians. That's a whole nother discussion. You know, they won't say who the true people are, but you see that there's a major shift that we didn't see. How they were making us look like we were crazy for showing the proof that we are ancient, connected to the ancient Israelites, showing proof by way of DNA, traditions, historical records, my traditions, your traditions, proving it with their sources. Oh, come on now. But made us look crazy, right? Calling us crazies, calling us a cult. But then it happened on the next level. What was that next level? Kanye West. He had to go through what we went through. Candace Owens, guess what? They started making her look crazy, right? Can't beat them, make them look crazy. Can't beat them, tell the world that that person crazy. Can't beat them, you can't beat the information, so you have to what? Attack, try to attack the character. That's why I've been following this. Because she's been doing something that I haven't seen none of the content creators do. She's been giving that 1948er group the business. She's been that thorn. And I just believe that she's giving up. She's throwing her trump card too early. I think she's throwing her big joker down too early. I think she tried to do the Boston just a little too early. That's where I'm at with it. I think that she's, like I said, I pay attention to it, family, and you should pay attention to it, because everything that you see, it's ultimately affecting our community. It's affecting us. Hallelujah. But with that being said, family, let me go ahead and get these groceries out of this car. Got some ice cream here, so I don't want it to melt here either by me, having it sit in the trunk, even though it's cold outside. But I just want to share those thoughts, share my position, share with you why I say I think that she's overplaying her hand. She gave up her high road. She just gave up the high road. I think that she should not have given up, not the high road, but the high ground. I think she should have stayed the course and did everything in open public, because that's the very thing that she was calling out, the lack of transparency. Now you're going to have a secret meeting. Now it's like, okay, what's happening? Now it adds in even more ambiguity to what's been going on. That's my point. Hallelujah. With that being said, family, have a blessed remainder of the day. And I got some videos I'm going to upload over the week. I know I haven't done anything in the past week as far as uploads. Be on the lookout. I'm literally working on Blotted Out Part 2. And I got some other things I'm working on. I'm working on some videos right now, and I'm going to get that series going again. I'm going to drop Part 2. Got Part 3 and already planning Part 3, but I'm recording Part 2. That'll be dropping over the next week. I'm going to try to have it done for before the year turns out, so that way you can have another source that you can use. But anyway, with that being said, love you, family. Have a blessed remaining of the day of your evening. Shalom.